Hello and welcome back to LOC On The Clock. We have returned after our brief break, and Chris is back joining us as well. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, all good, all good. And I say it's been weird not talking about it the last couple of weeks.
It has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get you in the mood, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Yeah, knowing what's going on and prepping and everything like that. We had sort of a semi-arranged, I guess, bye week with obviously you travelling away, and then last weekend just got away from me. But doesn't matter now. We're back. It's somehow already going into week 9, Chris. Feels crazy. It's going to be November tomorrow. What's going on?
I don't know where the time's gone, man. I don't know where the time's gone. Seems like it was yesterday that we were drafted, but hey, it's not. And some big scores last week from very random teams.
Oh yeah, indeed, and well, that's a good lead in as any. So let's get straight to the recaps. So we'll start, obviously, where we did no preview. We have technically no marquee matchups, so we'll just run through them in the order that they appear here. So we'll start off with Gridiron Gang against the Dream Team. So I came into this one on a 2-game losing streak. I think Viv came in, off of a loss as well. Viv was at 4-3. I was at 3-4. I took this one after 2 pretty bad weeks in a row. 126 to 97, so I got on the horse nicely, albeit in very unconventional fashion. Joe Flacco, who I was not expecting to start when I opened last week, as I was hoping Lamar Jackson would be back, but former Raven quarterback did me justice with 28. I also got 12 from J.K. Dobbins. James Cook erupted for 34, and the Bucks D streamed them, and they got me a big old 30 to get that nice score. On the other side, obviously, we've had a decent day as well. Nothing really too much to write home about. He did start Jordan Mason on the Thursday night game, who did not do a great deal. Aaron Jones was announced as active, so I don't know if that was a coaching decision for Viv to play him knowing that, or if it was obviously information missed. Spears was a nice stream. He got 14, solid day, but obviously not enough for the win. History of this one, I am now 8-12 all time against Viv. You got anything to? And I'm at 4-4, and obviously Viv falls to 4-4. Anything for you on your side to add to this one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, great stream, as you say, with Flacco. I mean, that's a bold call, but points were on the wall. I mean, I have to say that he's played quite well over the time that he's been starting for him.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, absolutely that. You spoke about Cook and the Bucks D, and Cook's score is absolutely biblical for around about talking plus 30. Almost nearly a callback and a half score, which is mad.
Yeah.
Another callback and a half score down at the bottom with the Bucks D. Having said that, you sometimes need that to go your way, and fair play it did. Your sort of marquee transfer, Wandale Robinson, big spend. Still betting in, but we'll see how we go with that. But no, I think that's a great score for you on the back of some big performances. For Viv, I don't think you can complain too much there. 96 points is pretty good, effectively carrying a player. Again, big day from the kicker and defense. Roughly speaking, obviously in comparison to yours, not as good, but take 26 points, you will take that, and Ty Spears off a pretty unfancy team. Now, having said that, look at that for Viv. Outside of Jalen Hurts, not a lot of massive play this week.
I was just going to jump in and say, actually, I forgot. So he went with Marvin Mims because he had some bye week issues and stuff as well, and obviously Nico didn't play. I internally, when I saw him do that, I was like, it's weird he's not going for Troy Franklin here. Lo and behold, Troy Franklin drops 20 points. Wouldn't have changed the result, obviously, but I did think the Mims one was a bit of a strange call. He did have K. Dalton at one point, who didn't do much better than the Mims. But if you were going to go the Denver receiver route, I would have very much gone Franklin if it was me personally. Obviously, other than Sutton, who didn't. He didn't do much either. But anyway, wouldn't have changed the results, so can't critique him too much on that. So we'll move on to the next game then, which featured Oakland Golden Bears against Pakistan. Both these teams came in with a losing record. Pakistan were 3-4. Oakland Golden Bears were 1-6. And Freddie doubles his win total with an absolute bazooka of a week out of nowhere. And you know what a bazooka of a score gets? It's the buzzsaw. Not that Pat obviously would have stood a chance even if it was much less. But Yeah, 142. That one nowhere almost. Bo Nix got 32. He was playing the Cowboys today, so understandable. Tucker Kraft, though, my God, 26 points. Brees Hall, who he traded, obviously, for by trading away Chase. Through the first couple of weeks, that was a firm win for Mike. But in this one, it's coming up Freddie with 33 points from Brees Hall. Kimani Vidal as well, which is a really nice pickup. I think that was even a free agent ad. 19 points, or it was definitely a cheap waiver move when it happened, and chipping in some points here and there as well. Obviously, for Pat, week to forget. To be honest, it's just Baker Mayfield having a bad week. With only 4 points, the difference here between a fairly respectable score and a slightly low score. Everybody else was fairly solid, just nothing spectacular there. Scatterboo was obviously the big storyline in this one as well, Chris, with that fairly horrendous looking injury, unfortunately for Pat. Pat was in by Mageddon. But obviously he was starting guys like Alec Pierce, Khalil Shakir and Aranda Gadsden, but to be fair, they all did fairly well. So.
Yeah, I think for Pat, you're right. You say it's down to quarterback. If he could have scraped 90 points out of that, just got out of town, then he might have been okay. But yeah, it's one of those weeks where if you know you can't win, it's probably not too bad. If you just get demolished. The storyline really is Freddie's team though, and I think finally, after a long time of some clear soul searching with QBs, it's about time to probably stop hating on Bo Nix, because he is legitimately a decent fantasy QB. Yes, I know that's Dallas defense, but he did the same thing the week previously as well, and that was the difference between winning and losing for Freddie. So I think that's where it is now. I think Caleb just drop it. Just get rid of it.
I mean, this week he might want to go with Caleb because we'll see when we do the previews. He plays the Bengals and Nix plays the formidable Texans defense.
I even at this point wouldn't even care. I just don't care. I think Bo Nix is the man. I think that they've got him schemed to the hilt, and he can use his feet. He can do whatever. Whilst Caleb still looks so unsure. I don't care if the Bengals
I agree in general quarterback play. Nix is definitely playing better ball than Caleb, but Nix hasn't been as good as he was certainly in the second half of his rookie season. He's had some. It was only before the Giants game he got completely erased by the Jets defense of all things, basically. So I'm not quite there yet. I agree. Unless it's a horrendous matchup, like it will be with the Texans this week. Again, I will say. I'm with you, but
yeah, absolutely. We'll see. But I think we've seen enough now that there's this in and out, and fair play for some of those starts. Tucker Kraft is to carry on with that is absolutely a great one. And the Brees Hall trade, though for a while didn't look like it was great. In weeks like that, I appreciate it's not going to be playing the Bengals every week.
No, yeah.
It's it seems to work. It seems to have worked in a high-scoring game. So fair play, Freddie. Take it while you can. But congrats, you picked the right QB this week.
It sure did, and he lost Pacheco in this one as well. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be too long-term in absence out this week. Yeah, he's not been any great.
He's got Tyron Tracy on the bench. I notice.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. The direct beneficiary of the Scaboo injury on the other side there. So Pat falls to 3-5. Freddie moves to 2-6. History of this one, I believe they are 1-1. Against each other all the time. No, they are indeed. So we'll go to the next game then, which was Thomas Tyrants against Ixan. Obviously Ixan had a bit of a slow start to the year, but they crawled their way up to 3 wins, turned it around a bit. Meanwhile, Tom was sitting at 4-3 entering this one, looking to get up in Southampton. Keep up he does. This was actually a good high-scoring game here. 132 to 104. 104. Ben's going to be feeling slightly hard done by. We'll start on Ben's side. Drake May. Once again, he's legit, everybody. He's the real deal, 32 points. Dallas Goedert, which I really wanted him last week, actually. I thought that was a nice stream. 15 points, good play there. Jonathan Taylor, the RB1. I think the overall number 1 skill position scoring player in fantasy with 35 points. Completely erased, obviously getting not much from Group E, Falcons D, and absolutely nothing from Quentin Johnson. And then from Tom's Tyrants, though, the winning side, Barkley's not been great, but he's lived up to the first round billing here with the 29 points. Again, Swift and H-Chan shipping in quite nice as well. Rashid Rice, he's obviously returned since we've last done the pod as well, and he's basically walked in and taken charge of the receiving room for not only the Chiefs but Tom's Torrance as well. Danny Dimes still in the MVP race with 29 points as well. Indiana Jones. Good day all around for Tom's team, Chris. And the history of this matchup now. Tom is 11-12 all time against Ben, so he nearly evens up the series. Anything else of interest in this one for you?
Oh, it was so nearly a perfect game.
Damn you, Eddie Pinero.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't see these very often. We don't see them. And for anyone who's uninitiated, a perfect game is if you score 20 points or more with a QB, you score double-digit points with all of your skill positions, and your kicker, and your defense. So yeah, that doesn't, and it's a rarity because to have that all happen at the same time is hard. 131 points, great result, and I think that Tom will feel as though that his season is now starting to come alive a little bit. That receiving room is better. I would say much better now. Metcalf and Rice are in there together. I think that's as solid as the day is long. Daniel Jones, as you mentioned, man, so what a transformation in a season. I know he's not playing Tennessee every week. Tennessee suck, but we've seen enough now to know that it's not just a flash in the pan. Yeah. And those running backs, those three are difficult to find. For Ben, you're right. It's hang your hat on Jonathan Taylor and Drake May and just hope the rest come to pass. But I think 104 points from a week like that, he will feel as though he got out of town.
Yeah, definitely. And he didn't have Kyron Williams on a bye either, so he's not quite at full strength. And Addison's been fairly good actually since again he came back from his suspension for Ben. So yeah, absolutely. So Ben now 3-5 and Tom 5-3. Next game then, cover your ears, Chris. It's you faced off against Ross. Entering this one, you were 5-2, so you've been one of the front runners of the year. Meanwhile, Ross was at 3-4, looking to keep up. And this was the closest game of the week on the slate. Came down to just over a point difference. And we can even, as the chart can load, no, it's not, it's fine. But 92-91 was the score. And it nearly was a Monday night comeback for you. Ross did have the lead in this one. But you had Patrick Mahomes and Butker to go, and he only had Travis Kelce. But it wasn't quite enough to drag you over the line. For Ross, Josh Allen got 25 as well. T. Higgins obviously benefiting from Joe Flacco's good play, got 10. Travis Kelce, as I said, 16. Derrick Henry, he was back. Despite not having Lamar back, apparently Snoop Huntley is a lot better than Cooper Rush. He got 19 points. On your side, Chris, again, still a decent score with the Bills D. Maybe papered over a little bit of crackage there with the 22 of you, but you still had a decent score, Javonte Games.
Yeah, I would have felt as though I stole that one. And I would never have played Terry McLaurin in that condition either. No. Judging by the fact that he went off anyway. So I could have won with that change, but it's more about what people didn't do rather than what they did. And you look there, Bijan, poor day, Rico Dowdle, reasonably poor day, got blown out. Igbuka, poor day because of the same. We noticed.
Just to pause it, because you're absolutely right. It's a few of your better players. I mean, Dowdle's recently a more better player, but he was, when he had that whole backfield himself, was just tearing things apart. But Bijan is the one out of all of them, because you can excuse a receiver having a bad day here and there. They didn't really need Igbuka to beat the Saints. Dowdle was in a split backfield in a game where they're getting blasted. But Bijan getting 3 points against this Miami Dolphins team.
Well, yeah, exactly.
What on God's green earth?
Yeah, and the annoyance of it in the end is the fucking fumble that's cost me.
Yeah.
Which sucks. That's the thing. I would have done me by 0.94 of a point or whatever it is. So, it's a bad day all round for there. But yes, unlucky. But I think, as you say, pretty undeserved if I'd have won that. Having said that, though, fucking Travis Kelce on the other side, done nothing all year, comes up with another nearly 100 yard and 1 TD on the night, just to fuck me over. Cheers, man.
He's not been doing nothing. He's actually having a bit of a swan song. Let's just
leave it out.
Look at it. Look, he's had 12 points. He's had 11.
He's been double digits 3 times. 3 times. So he didn't. All I needed was him not to go into double digits like he's been doing recently, and all would have been well. But did he do that? Did he fuck it? Because it's on Monday night. That's why.
You know what as well that makes this so poetic in a way, and poetically unfair from your perspective. Draft day, you were obviously going to take him, and then the dice took him. Right?
The fucking dice. Yeah, wouldn't have had a problem with receivers this week if I'd understand that. Bloody dice. Honestly. Anyway, what can we complimentary about? So it's as we know, if Josh Allen plays well, this team plays well. Derrick Henry, to be fair,
you
know,
him as well. Nice spot you hit there as well. To be fair, because you would have taken him and Ross would have, in theory, had Bijan if you know.
I would have, maybe that would have done, but at the same time, I would never have had the season that I would have had if I had taken Bijan. So
that's true.
But fair play, my man Derrick Henry, brother from another mother, born the same day, born on the 4th of January, not July. Good win for Ross. Congratulations, but fucking dice.
We'll move on. Ross is now takes the lead in the series against you as well, 8-7 all time.
Seriously.
Yeah, just to rub the salt in. Sorry about that.
I hate autographs. Move on.
But we need some round of applause for this one because Bare Necessities took on Make Kitchens Great again in the Bear Bowl and finally picked up their first win after 8 long weeks. Sorry, Ollie. He won 105-74, and it's been coming. Even before we took our break, the stats pointed towards Bare Necessities being an okay team, maybe not a great team, but certainly not a team that should have been winless for as long as they were. But they finally got a win. By the way, we did absolutely miss the week previous, just to mention it here, me absolutely stitching my dad up by doing the trade I did with Ross, which gave Ross the place he needed to be. But we'll just leave that by the wayside. It's fine. He made up for it the very week after. 105-74. Bare Necessities now 1-7, and Ollie Gardner-Bellows now 3-5. Looking at my dad's team, he played Jackson Dart because he did not have Jaden Daniels, of course, once again through injury. He got 21. Pittman again. Justice for Pittman, like you said, Chris. Finally in the lineup, he gets 16. He delivers. Chase Brown again, another beneficiary of Joe Flacco with the 23, and then some good special team scores there. Meanwhile, on the other side of the board, Ollie was streaming. Aaron Rodgers again, 21 points. Okay day. Waddle got 16, but beyond that, just not really a great deal to speak of, Chris. He was in a bit of Bimageddon as well, but to be honest, I even think a full-strength team probably wouldn't have done it here against my dad's team.
No. Finally, it's come good. Yeah, it needed a bit of a rip-roaring display from Chase Brown to do it. But, again, good kicker and D score. Pittman, who is, again, criminally underrated. I don't know how he's not got this far without starting for a team. But I hope he stays in there now. And to be fair, Jackson Dart, you might as well keep him for the rest of the year.
James Daniels dropped him.
Fuck me.
He needs a defense. So he already had Stafford as well as Daniels. So it's a
he's got Stafford. Okay, fine. I didn't see that. Yeah. In that case, then probably best. I just thought you had Jaden Daniels and was like, well, that's a better alternative right now. But yeah, good. I'm glad we're not going to have a winless team. That would not be good.
No.
On the other side, though, I mean, look, not a lot there to write about. Jalen Waddle is the absolute man in Miami now, and you will see these kind of performances. But I'm not convinced across the rest of those skill positions, maybe outside of Lamb, that there will be any sort of consistency. And that's a problem.
I mean, again, bye week injures to a degree, but he played Keon Coleman, who was obviously a draft bust of mine, who I moved on from quite some time ago at this point. So that kind of tells you the story. On paper, it doesn't look too bad outside of that, but like you say, it's just not really coming together at the moment for Ollie. The history of this matchup all time, Bare Necessities now 5-8 against Euro Gold. I had a mind to do basically the trade I did to Ross. I actually asked my dad if he would do it for Debo, and he said no. And part of me was like, should I do this deal for Pittman? At the time, or immediately afterwards, I felt yes, I should have. it might be coming full circle now. We'll see. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but my dad's the direct beneficiary there, so there you go. And then we'll go on to the last game of the week then, which featured, these were the two winningest teams actually in the league, and both the division leading teams, so we'll call this the Leader Bowl for now. Great score against bucking the trend. Great score, obviously, in this one undefeated at 7-0. And Chris, they leave it undefeated yet again. And look, Great Scott's team has been good. His scoring has been good. He is getting the rub of the green just a bit with the opposition. He's played the lowest scoring team of the week, which ironically has obviously been the highest scoring team for much of the season so far. So clearly, Jeff has that kryptonite effect that Nigel used to have, or something like that. 94-54, the final score. I think Jeff, just scanning across, he would have lost to 6 other teams, so in terms of average score, he didn't do too badly, to be fair. Taking a look at the lineup, Herbert 31, he got back on the horse in this one. Kill got 10, Pat Steve got 16, just solid, okay scores, sort of getting him there. For Mike, bit of a disaster week, obviously. Chris, again, element of not by NATO as much, because it was sort of just JSN he was missing, and obviously continues to miss Bucky Evans through injury. Judkins did get injured in this one as well, which didn't help. Jacobs has been playing sort of through a calf injury, and obviously the Cowboy stack, which is bad. A lot of fruit in Mike's recent very good run, just kind of started against an extremely good defense in their home stadium. So Mike will bounce back sooner rather than later, I'm sure, Chris. But Jeff remains undefeated all the same.
Indeed, and I think for as long as Jeff keeps putting solid weeks together like this, then it's going to be quite difficult. So we say every week, if you can score, I say 80 for 85, but I think 90 is probably just as valid here. 90 points plus makes you really hard to beat every week, and that's what's proven to be here. It's anchored by Justin Herbert, who again is having a bit of a renaissance this season, but. You look at the other side. Mike's team from the previous outings. Is completely unrecognizable. But it's amazing to find that there's no, apart from Jacobs' one TD, there's no TDs at all throughout this team. Even at QB, which is unbelievable. So you consider that. There's no wonder why he lost. But yes, it's amazing how there can be such a swing from week to week, where it's 80 to 100 points. It's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, literally, like 8 to 100 points less. But that's just how it kind of goes in fantasy. I always kind of look at your team at the start of the week, and I almost feel like, where are these points going to come from? Then by the end of it, you obviously always sort of normally end up around sort of the 90-ish mark or whatever, like you say, better than that. But it can be hard to sort of just look at it on paper before and see where it's... And every now and then, you do have these weeks where the points just don't come. It isn't there, so...
Yeah.
But, it's definitely been the outlier versus the trend for Mike. So, Betham's to be ahead. He's still 6-2 and still leading the Southampton division, which we'll get to in a second. Great Scott now takes the lead, 2-1 between these two. That is it for the recaps. We did not obviously have any pick'ems or anything to speak of, but just to reference the last week that we did do pick'ems on, Chris, we both got our locks right and we went 5-1. The only game we got wrong was my game against Pat, but we both picked me and Pat.
Very often, is it?
No. So yeah. Oh yeah, I may as well give you the stats. Here we go. So on the season, I'm 22-14. You're 21-15 on the pick'em, so not bad. 4-2 on the locks for me, and you're 3-3 on the locks. So. Yeah, not doing too badly, I would say. So yeah,
we almost know what we're talking about.
Just about. We're just above 500, which means we do vaguely know what we're talking about. So we can make that claim.
After this length of time, you think you would?
You're right. Let's go on to the news. Yeah, so transactions-wise, we have had another trade since we last did a podcast, which everybody sees by now, but just to mention it on the pod, it was Tony Pollard and Jake Ferguson from my team to Ross's team for Travion Henderson, which initially benefited Ross, but we'll see what happens there when we get onto the previews potentially this week, Chris. Other transactions, Ixan this week added Christian Watson. I did not note down the dollar amount here, but I'm pretty sure it was $15. From the top of my mind, let's take a look. So many transactions this week. Where is it? page is not loading. This is not helpful. There we go. Yeah, $15. I got it right. And Freddie also added Kareem Hunt for $18. But yeah, the Watson ad I'm fine with because came back immediately. First came back, obviously from the knee recovery. Yeah, 4 catches, 80 yards. You know, for a Packers receiving room that seems to be crying out for someone other than Tucker Kraft to sort of take charge there. It could be Christian Watson. He's a good deep threat. The Kareem Hunt one, Chris, yeah, you're right to whistle there. Now, I think Freddie did have his max budget because we obviously did have the additional waiver funds, and given his record, he's guaranteed to get money of some description the next time around. But I still think it's an overpay, 18, because really Pacheco's injury didn't sound overly too serious. Hunt's going on a bye next week as well. And he's just been a bit of like a goal, a touchdown or bust player really so far. Granted, playing on a pretty good Chiefs offense, that's not bad, but it's sort of like a 1 week option. I think really, if you look at it, it's a lot of money for a 1 week option, Chris, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I agree. And I suppose if you leverage it and say it's 13, but even so, yeah, it's got to be buy to win, and if you don't win, well, it doesn't look like it's very good value. So we'll see how we go with that.
Yeah, definitely. And there was only me and Freddie that bid on Hunt, just looking at the waiver report. I bid 6 as well, just so well, back when I thought I also needed a running back for the week, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Right, looking at the rest of the standings, we'll do the standing sets and milestones now. So yeah, if we start with the Saints, so yeah, Southampton division, Mike is the leader here at 6-2. He's got a win over Tom, but with the points advantage, which stands at 123. He may as well have 2 wins over him. Then Viv and Ross are both at 4-4. Ollie 3-5, and Oaken Bears at 2-6. Then we turn to the Portsmouth division. We've got the still undefeated Great Scott at 8-0, who's basically scored a neat 800 for the year, so averaging, you can even do that math, I'm sure, Chris, 100 points a week. Chris, you are at 5-3 with nearly 900 points scored as the highest scoring team. I'm at 4-4 just behind you, and Ben and Pat are 3-5, and then my dad, obviously, the bottom 1-7. It's quite an interesting year because it's not really a year where it's sort of close necessarily, but it's very spread out. We have extremes on both ends. You've got undefeated, nearly undefeated, but then it's very staggered in between that. So it makes for some interesting reading. If we were to do playoffs as it stands today, it would be obviously Jeff and Mike as the division winners who get the bye. It would be you and Tom as the traditional wild cards, Chris, and then it would be me as the points forward wild card. But there's still lots to play for because you and Tom are obviously only 1 win ahead of 3 4-4 teams, and there's obviously then 3 more 3-5 teams who aren't too far away. If we look in terms of points forward, you're looking at Jeff, and he's virtually guaranteed, I would say, to either get the normal wild card probably, or the division obviously being at 8-0. So he's at 800 points, which is 4th highest. But as we say again, you are the highest. Mike's just behind you. I'm obviously at 810. There is a bit of a drop from there, but it's not really a huge gap with Ben, Tom, Pat all hovering around the sort of 775 to 750 mark. There is a bit of a drop off after that. Viv's at the 740, and then there's 3 teams in the 600s, and then there's Ollie's team who's still dwelling down. Less than 600 points scored, Chris. Chris, this is a stat for you. You have scored 400 points more. Wait, no, that's bad math. 300 points more than Ollie's team. You scored more than 50% more of his points. Higher than him.
Watch him win against me this week. Yeah, I mean it's a serious difference. But yeah, I guess we'll come to it in the previews. But there has to be reasoning for that, sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So even the points are fairly spread out. If we take a look at points against as well, Pat is in the lead there at 837, and Ben's not far behind at 825. So no surprises, they're both 3 and 5. But then I am also not far behind that with 810 myself, obviously sitting at 4 and 4. Ollie, again, to be fair, has scored fairly lowly, but he's been scored on fairly high amount as well, as of you, Chris. But obviously you were sitting at 5 and 3, but you have scored so many points, it's overcome part of that at least. Again, we say my dad, he's considered 750, 1 and 7, even though the scoring's not necessarily the best. Middle of the road for score, doesn't deserve the 1 and 7 record. Mike's had a bit of a fortune, you would say. Not as much fortune as Jeff, obviously, which we'll come on to in a second. So he's 6 and 2. Then you have obviously kind of the gaggle of sort of the middle teams. Tom getting a little bit lucky as well, 5 and 3, only conceding 677. And Jeff, 8 and 0, has only conceded 671. The lowest, full 160, odd less than Pat. Right at the top. So while he's been good, 4,000 scoring, obviously benefiting from conceding the least. Just jump in if you have anything else to add as well, Chris.
Will do.
I love the analysis. On the breakdown, you are at the top, I should say, Chris. Despite a 3 and 8 week, you still have the edge by 6 wins over Mike, who rattled off 4 11 and 0 weeks in a row.
Wow.
Then dropping an 0-11. So that's an average. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, 0 to 0, literally. Yeah.
Or hero to 0 is the case with Jeff's obviously understandably fairly hyped in this metric as well. Ben is actually probably started on this quite slowly, but he's had 6 winning weeks, if you want to put it that way, in a row now. He's even slightly overtaken me. I obviously had a couple of really bad weeks there, but sort of got back on it last week. Then you've obviously got sort of the middle of the pack, Viv, Pat, sort of around 500 again. Tom at 5 and 3, a little bit lucky. He did have a 10 and 1 week last week, but that, he's only 49, with that 10 and 1 week. So it's again papering over some cracks. My dad again 1 and 7, does have a losing record in this 35 and 53, but still not deserving of the 1 and 7 record despite that. Did go 8 and 3 last week though. And then the 3 teams that you would absolutely expect to be at the bottom here. I think for a good stretch, Chris, there was a period where Ollie only had 1 win in the breakdown, which just happened to be the 1 game he did win early in the season. He has improved from that, at least. He's 19 and 69 through the year so far, but obviously still not great reading. And then we get to the coach scores. Ben is at the top, so Ben's sort of turning it around and keeping the points in the lineup and not on the bench. Mike, again, obviously being one of the high-scoring teams, doing good job of team selection. Then we sort of have the middle of the road teams. We turn to the bottom. You've left over 100 points on the bench, Chris, as is my dad. So again, some self-inflicted wounds. Tom's team could be even better as well. Hello, dog. And Freddie right at the bottom here with 150. So again, talking about teams that are slightly lower in scoring, have lost a fair number of games. He has left a lot of points on the bench, featuring 60 points in 1 week. Chris, that's a lot of points on the bench.
Wow. Isn't it just? I mean, that's, what could have been? What could have been?
He probably would have won that week, I would hazard to guess, had he...
I would hazard to guess, absolutely that.
Got some of those points in his lineup. In terms of milestones, since we've been gone, Coach Nunn has notched his 75th career win, as well as his 75th regular... Oh, no, wait, no, sorry, that's not him. Coach Taylor has notched his 50th career win and regular season win. That's Mike. And Coach Scott has notched his 25th career win. So some good milestones all around. Check out the Copilot trademark power rankings if you've not already. Always good fun. Trade block. If there's anybody you want to put on the trade block, let me know. For once, there is nobody on my team on the trade block, but if I'm always open to a trade. So... let me know if there's anyone you want to trade for. And speaking of trade, the trade deadline is November 7th, which is next Thursday, I believe. If you want to do any trading, make sure you do it. Let's get on to the preview, shall we, Chris? And for that, we need our preview jingles. So let's get into it. Okay, so for week 9, Chris, we are going in inter-division because we are playing the opposite division teams. On the docket, we have Gridiron Gang versus Bucking the Trend, which is a Waypoint Bowl. Oakland Golden Bears against Great Scott. The Dream Team against Ixan, which is the Corona Bowl 13 rematch. Tom's Tyrants against Bare Necessities, which is a Founder Bowl. Mate Kitchen's great again against Forge Flies, and Cardiff Sheep against Pakistan, which is the Goose Bowl. Where would you like to go with the marquee matchup this week, Chris?
Well, I think because there are very few games that are still at quite close, I would say. Shall we go and see if last week's high scorers can finally eliminate the juju that is Great Scott?
Sure. Let's have a look. So, yeah, for marquee matchup, Oakenbourne Bears against Great Scott. Oakenbourne Bears at 2-6. Great Scott, as we know, at 8-0, still leading the league. The projections do very much think that Jeff will remain undefeated, 98 to 87. If we take a look at the lineups, so for Freddie, let's see, he has put Kareem Hunt and Tyrone Tracy into his lineup in favour of Isaiah Pacheco's obviously injured. Devonta Smith is on a bye. He must also have brought in, I'm going to guess, Kamani Vidal. I don't remember seeing, or was it Rashid?
Rashid.
Yeah, thank you. Over Brees Hall, who is also on a bye. So, yeah, he's going with the older 31 personnel there. Meanwhile, for Jeff, let's see here. He gets Puka back from injury and from the bye, which sends, I presume, Alvin Kamara to the bench. So he is going himself. The little 12 personnel, juicy. Not sure we've had 12 personnel this year. One running back, 2 tight ends, and 2 receivers, of course. So on the face of it, Chris, I would say, as always, Jeff does look fairly good measure for his victory. How say for another victory? How say you?
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting that Freddie's gone for Hunt, Tracy, and Vidal, leaving Kenneth Walker on the bench, which is, say bold call, Cotton, but also Caleb's there as well. Spoke about earlier on. I rate Bo Nix a lot, and I think that at this point, the talk to the man in form, but he has played the Giants and the Cowboys 2 weeks in a row. So if there's a QB change, there's a QB change. We've got to go with what's in front of us.
Yep.
And I think that those 2 running backs are going to get so much value this week for Freddie. You look at Hunt, Buffalo's been a bit of a run sieve in what's going to be a primetime shootout. Tracy's the man. They've seen that they can use running backs effectively with Scalaboo. Again, San Fran really banged up, and at home. And Vidal, who's getting used more and more and more, versus Tennessee, who we know Tennessee might do. Couple with the fact that the Packers played Carolina at bottom, which I like. Informed Tucker Craft, Shaheed's a deep threat, which we can all get behind. I think that in overall, he's actually not too bad, even with Hall and Smith out. I still quite like it, but it's the question over QB. The other side, though, skill position-wise, actually, I think, because you've got a Dunze over there, it makes sense to play Caleb against him. It really does, because if one leads to another, then I think that probably works out. But 2 tight ends in the same team, I know it's Warren and Kittle, and they're two of the best tight ends in the game. That's unorthodox. Coupled with the fact that Nakua and McCaffrey, who again should be well used, but McCaffrey's coming off a bad week. Though I think the Giants could be a bounce back, and then Nakua, of course, who again came off a bad week himself against a bad week and obviously off and a bye. So we shall see if he can retain that form. I would expect that he can at home against the Saints. So I think that you can't really beat the form of an 8-0 team, and certainly with those players, I think you've probably got to go with it. But I do think that Freddie will give a credible outing and will push him quite close, especially if some of those things that I was talking about there go his way and you play the match up. So Great Scott, but just.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I sort of first looked at this, I was like, I have half a mind to Great Scott. Great Scott here. Is this in the mirror's eye? I do prefer Great Scott. Like you say, if Freddie puts Caleb in, that I think does change things a bit for me, because Tucker Craft has been the best receiving option in that Packers offense, and the Panthers suck against tight ends. They just suck. They're awful against tight ends.
They do.
And like you say, the running back's preferably pretty good. I'm not so high on the Hunt play. I think Hunt's an okay flex because I don't really think the Pacheco injury changes too much to him. This is already a team that wasn't really running the ball great, and was obviously even passing it great. And I think Mahomes has even led them in rushing more often than not. I don't really think that's going to change just because, Kareem Hunt's sort of a bit of a... He is what he is at this point. He's just a bit of a plodder. If he falls in the end zone once or twice, he's okay. But if he doesn't, it's not sexy. So to your point of... playing benching Walker for him, I get it. Walker is a bit unpredictable, and he can get vultured by Charbonnet as well. So yeah, it's rough. But I certainly if he puts Caleb in, I could see this being a close game. You can't go away from Jeff's team though with how well it has been doing. There are things you can point to in the lineup and say, oh well, if all of this happens together, then it might be a lower week. But that doesn't typically happen, so it normally averages out, which is exactly what's happened for Jeff so far. So yeah, I agree. He will probably win this game as well, so I'm picking him too. I can't remember if I did the history of this matchup, but just to make sure that I have, these two have only played each other twice, and it is 1-1. So we're going to the next game then, which is the Dream Team against Ixan, which, as I said, is the Going Above 13 rematch. One is 4-4, that's Viv. And Ben is 3-5, so yeah, for these two wins coming at a premium now, we're obviously heading it sort of into the stretch, if you will, and with the wildcard already being set at 5 wins, and certainly in Viv's case, not necessarily having as many points as sort of some of the other wildcard potential teams. The wins obviously are going to be at a premium at the moment. The projections do have this one going Ben's way, 93-79. Viv does have 4 points on the board from Tyler Loop already. If we take a look at the lineups, Brock Purdy is starting at quarterback at the moment for Viv over Jalen Hurts, who's on a bye. Will Purdy be starting for the Niners is the question though. Nico Collins comes back in, obviously back from the concussion. Devontae Adams comes in from a bye, as does Zach Charbonnet, dropping all of... obviously we know he had Marvin Mims, so he's dropped Jordan Mason to the bench, and Rashad White, who was in a bye as well. So Viv going with the 20 personnel. On Ben's side of things, Christian Watson coming from the waiver wire to the lineup, and Karen Williams obviously coming from the bench to the lineup as well. So he, which drops Goda, and I can't remember who else he had. Goda and someone else to the bench, or the waiver wire possibly. He's going with the... Sorry?
I think it was Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, yeah, probably. So he's going with 20 personnel as well. The history of this matchup all time, Ixan are 7-12 against Viv, so history favours Viv. Chris, but the projections favour Ben. What way are you going?
I think Ben's in the driving seat here. So if we just go just straight away to the position that can make or break you at QB, Drake May is well in. And as you mentioned earlier on, looks absolutely the real deal. This season has been transformative for the Patriots, I think, because of his play. And he plays Atlanta, who have just got blown out by Tua. So, yeah, say no more. What's on the other side, Viv's in a bit of disarray. If Purdy plays, then, let's be honest, Purdy's a good QB, but in a system and in his first game back on the carries, there's so many things that you can just...
I think Viv's going to go out and grab Jackson Dart now that he's been dropped by my dad. I would expect that to happen. He's obviously on waivers, so it's not a done deal. But I would... Good,
and so he should. And if he does, that improves things immensely. But Ben's back to full strength, give or take now. And I think that when you look down, maybe Christian Watson was that additional piece that he needed to make things right. I like him pairing him with Allison. I like those two matchups, and I like the fact that Quentin Johnson's playing Tennessee as well, because I think there's value in that too. Taylor and Williams, back to full strength should be no problem. Say Taylor is matchup proof, and I would even say go as far as saying Williams is the same in what's going to be a good matchup at home against the Saints. And then you look down to special teams as well. The Lions are playing in Minnesota, and he's coming back, isn't he? So, we'll see if he indeed can move. And if he can't, well, they're in for a field day. On the other side, again, for the same reasons I like the receivers this week for the Chargers. Nico Collins has got a hell of a matchup against Denver. I know it's home. Whilst at the same time, Devontae's been great. I think Spears will get irrelevant very quickly in that game. And as we spoke about before, Charbonnet and Walker, you don't really know which one's going to come good. I think Jags against Vegas will be fine as well. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think that there's a clear difference between the two teams. I think any team that's got a QB in form and the number one overall player, outfield player, skill position in fantasy is always going to be pole position. And for me, it's Ben this week.
Yeah, I'm going Ben as well because, again, looking at how it is at the moment with Purdy in for sure, May's a clearly better option there. And as you say, Jonathan Taylor is the number one overscoring player. Beyond that, though, I don't think there's actually necessarily too much different between these two because Quentin Johnson put up an absolute donut in a game where the Chargers were spreading the ball everywhere last week. Now, when this happens with offenses where it's quite diverse and the ball gets spread out a lot, that week to week someone might do quite badly and then the others will do well. But I don't know, it feels a bit different with Johnson. He's not done anything now for kind of a few weeks that, what he did in the early portion of the season. I'm sort of mildly surprised, to be honest, that Ben is sticking with him. But to your point, you look at the alternatives on the bench, and that's probably why he is. And the direct beneficiary of that has been Viv on the other side of that. McConkey obviously had an extremely slow start, but has actually been very good. It's sort of that both of their paths have almost crossed, really, and where Johnson's dipped, he's sort of picked up. I'm not... obviously, Watson had a good first game coming back as well, but the receiver matchups against Carolina aren't typically good. The secondary is probably one of the brighter spots on the team. And having owned a Packers receiver, as we know, they can be very inconsistent and not necessarily see a lot of volume. So he's obviously still going to be working his way back from injury as well. And was it the Steelers? Yeah, they played the Steelers last week, who have been dreadful, particularly against the deep ball as well, which is obviously Watson's bread and butter. So there are things that I don't think Spears is going to be completely erased because I think, when the Titans fall behind, not if, when the Titans fall behind, he is the one that is on the field, as we saw last week against the Colts. So I don't think that's too bad. But yeah, with the quarterback situation, like you say, obviously Ben having Taylor, it's a no-brainer. Collins could have a good day though. Satan's not going to play. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Now the Denver defense is obviously still very good without him, but he is an elite receiver. If that O-line can hold up and strike and actually get him the ball, he could still have a good day. So, could be an interesting game, but yeah, I'm going with Ben as well. Our next game is Thunderbolt. It's Tom's Tyrants against Ben Necessities. Obviously, Ben Necessities fresh off their first win. Can they double it? Projections say they can against the 5-3 Tom's Tyrants, but that is partly because Tom has not updated his team, of which it features Saquon Barkley on a bye and DeAndre Swift, who has now been ruled out with his groin injury. Achan did get 11 points as part of the 67-point projection, which is obviously less than bare necessities. So unchanged at the moment for Tom, but he's probably going to bring in almost certainly Drake London, who should be back, and probably Keenan Allen. Could possibly go Pearsall if he's back, but I would imagine he will opt for Keenan Allen. And then on my dad's side, he's got Matthew Stafford in the starting lineup. David Montgomery comes in back from bye as well, I think. I'm not sure if he played Jalen Warren last week or not, but he comes in to the starting lineup too. Dropping a combination of Daniels, possibly Worthy, and Hubbard Samuel to the bench there as well. So he's going with 30 personnel. The history of this matchup all time, Ben Necessities it's an even series actually, 8-8 between these two. Chris, can Ben Necessities do it again? Can they pick up another win here and regress back to the mean?
I think they're in a strong position to do so. I don't like necessarily the defense for him, but I think at the same time the QB is solid as the day, as long as we saw on your team earlier on this year, and that receiving core is, and that running back room is as well. So there's plenty of upside there with all of those, and again, all in matchups that I would suggest are probably okay. And in situations, I think Montgomery is in a good situation there as well. So yeah, for me, any kicker that's kicking in Denver as well, by the way, has always got a chance to score. That's cool.
Points. Yep.
So I like it. I can't look past that team and say that team is not solid, because it is really good. For Tom, though, yeah, he brings a layer of uncertainty into it. I think, as you say, when London and Allen do come into the team, I think London, that's a difficult one, especially with shaky QB play. But Allen, I think that's fine. But it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Surely not. I mean, Metcalf could have a boss game, and I think Rice again in a shootout. It could all be down to Daniel Jones, my man, and the Chargers D against Tennessee. I think it's going to be close, but I have a feeling that their necessities can get it across the line this week. But it requires one of those running backs to do something.
Yeah, I'm very torn here because I think both teams are actually quite hard to project because you could definitely see both of them having a good week, and you could also probably see both of them having not so good a week.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to slightly lean Tom's Tyrants despite not being at full strength because just looking at, I mean, my dad's got Pittman. He's been good so far because he's caught a lot of touchdowns, and granted that absolutely could continue, but it could be a week where Jones sort of spreads it to the other guys again, and Pittman maybe doesn't get the touchdown, against Pittsburgh. I don't know. I just look at his plays. Again, the running backs there, whilst they're good on my dad's team, they're not great. Montgomery, he's sort of obviously a bit more touchdown dependent than maybe he was in seasons past. Warren hasn't even scored a touchdown yet, I don't believe. And Chase Brown, he really hinges on Joe Flacco. If Joe Flacco does not play, Brown will be quite bad, even in a pretty good matchup. And that's sort of what's pushing me towards Tom, because I think Rice almost certainly should do well. Metcalf should do reasonably okay, I think. Obviously, coming in, Drake London should be fine because Christine Gonzalez doesn't shadow. So obviously already got the 11 from HN. The defense matchup's very nice too. Again, like you say, the Chiefs D has been good, but going into Buffalo, if that was in Arrowhead, I'd actually be okay with that.
Yeah.
But going into is it New Era, whatever the hell their stadium's called now, in Buffalo, don't like that so much. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with Tom's Tyrants here. So on that basis.
We've got to have some diversion somewhere, otherwise it's just not fun, is it?
No, definitely not. I have not been doing the injury stuff as well as went along, so I'll just quickly dovetail back and do that. As I said, Swift's all out with his groin injury. Pearsall was questionable with his knee. I know he wasn't practicing earlier in this week, so he's got in a limited session today. In the other games, Purdy again questionable that turf toe injury. He could come back. Elsewhere, clean bill of health, I think, in that game. And in the other game, Shaheed is questionable again. I think, he should be okay. Same for Kamara. And same for Woody Marks, Pacheco's already been ruled out. So we'll go into your game next then, Chris, which, Mike Kitchen's great again against Forge Flyers. So you are fresh off an agonising loss. Mike Kitchen's great again is obviously on the back of 2 losses in a row, obviously losing to the previously winless team as well. Projections do have your card being called this time, 93-86, Chris. It's also 8-4 in favour of Ollie. So you had Jalen Waddle to your Malik Washington there. Elsewhere, in terms of the lineup changes, so Jared Goff comes in for Aaron Rodgers for Ollie, and then Bowers comes in, as does Brian Thomas from the bye, for Keon Coleman and Tedero McMillan. Wow, he's benching Ted. That's interesting. And then on your side of the board, Chris, let's see here. So I think other than Malik Washington, I would probably be right in saying you're unchanged, dropping AJ Brown to the bench. Is that correct?
So that's not quite there.
ETN as well. ETN comes in for Dowd.
ETN's in. Chris Boswell's back from the cold kicker, and Thea back from the and even yet, it depends on how I feel, but Rico Dowdle could still make an appearance. You never know. But who knows what that's going to look like, and that's my problem. But no, I've got an issue where I didn't have any receivers really this week. They all got injured or on a bye at the same time. In comes Malik Washington and gets I'm going to go with a handy 4 points, but actually it didn't really matter because Waddle didn't get many on the other side either. So 4 point swing going into Sunday, I'll take that. Look, for me this season, it's really been hinged on one of the running backs and Mahomes doing something good. And Mahomes has looked all the more impressive as we go on. And yet, Here we are, 1 week before his bye, and he plays Buffalo in Buffalo.
I mean, their defense
Man.
is not good though, so I don't really care
Ding,
where that game is.
ding, ding, ding.
No.
I'm feeling good about this.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I was gonna say,
is-
yeah. This. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going the other way. Yeah, no, this is
Oh, no.
this is great.
No.
Yeah.
This is a positive. This is a positive. This could be his highest score of the year.
Yeah.
Just saying, because that game has got written all over it. Shootout.
Yeah.
Let's have a shootout. Let's have a dust up before the bye. Why not? Got to impose it on him. Javonte's been my sort of standout player of the year, to be honest with you. All manner of consistency there. That won't change on Monday night against Arizona. Stephon Diggs, I like the New England offense, I have to say, but I don't like the fact he doesn't score touchdowns. But hey, I'm going to have to roll with him this week. And kicker and D, who knows? And depends on how I feel. We may see Rico Dowdle, or we may just see ETN. I don't know. But I think ETN off the bye is probably going to be better than Dowdle against the Green Bay defense, who's going to absolutely kill the living shit out of Carolina. So, yeah, that's where I am. On the other side, look, Ollie's team, a lot of tries. Jared Goff's better at home, as we know. But I say very up and down performances this year so far. I wouldn't rely on him too much. Having said that, though, I think if you're going to rely on him this week against Minnesota, it's probably not the game to rely on him. Just saying. Though they probably will see a lot of offense, but defensively, obviously, Minnesota are studs. Lamb and Waddle, we've seen that say Waddle was what I was worried about. I'm obviously less worried about him now. Brian Thomas, I'm not worried about at all. He's only flashed once this year, and I'm not convinced he's going to do that again. Neither Bowers or Krosky Merritt either. So look, for me, I think even though I'm a bit ragtag this week, I still got enough to get across the line. Even with, I would expect that Mahomes, Robinson, and Williams will get it done for me. Ford Flyers all the way.
I have a question for you, Chris. Is this game in the lock zone for you?
I'm not in the habit of locking myself because, but if you were to lock me, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm going to go ahead and lock you then. I just wanted to check this. Previously, you poo-pooed me doing a lock, and given that Ollie is the lowest scoring team, I just wanted to make sure it passed the mirror test, but like you said...
Passed the test.
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Got to keep that mirror intact. Those things are expensive. I'm going to lock your team. And it really does come down to a degree. You're one of the high scoring teams. Ollie's one of the lowest scoring teams. You might not be at full strength. I kind of do like Ollie's team a little bit more this week, but not to the point where I think it's going to really be able to contend with your team. Just because, like you say, Mahomes should do well. Goff potentially could equal it if he has a really good day, but then if you get past that, he needs Lamb to have a big day, which he could well do against Arizona. But Brian Thomas, even though Travis Hunter has now been ruled out for the year, he's on IR with a knee injury. On paper, that is good for him, but I've also seen he's basically practicing and playing in a shoulder harness at the moment.
Yeah,
so he injured his shoulder in London. And as you said, he's not really been great already. Trevor Lawrence is basically Caleb Williams in terms of, accuracy, except I like Caleb, who is still a young quarterback. Trevor's been in the league for a while now, guys. It's not great. So
he needs to go and get himself a move. Go and get the same agent as Danny Dimes. Yeah.
Clearly. I mean, they got Liam Cohen. If he can't do it, who can? Would be my question.
Yeah,
but
right.
Sure. Bowers might be fully healthy now because that's obviously been a talking point of ours that he's clearly not been healthy.
That's true.
Which might help. And Jacory Krosky Merritt really is Schrodinger's running back because he obviously came in with a lot of hype. Pretty quickly it seemed like he was going to do quite well. You look at the scores here. He did have one huge game, but it's so feast or famine. And Seattle are a pretty good defense, as you know, because you're playing them. And Bears D against Cincinnati as well. I don't like that, especially if Flacco is playing. If Flacco isn't playing, that's fine. But and your team is just solid. Bijan is not going to get 3 points again. No way, Jose. Malik obviously didn't pay off, but as someone who's trying to look for a fifth flex myself this week, I can appreciate it's slim pickings out there. So.
Yeah. Mate, I was either him or I was going to take dice roll on an Alec Pierce 60 yards.
Yeah, no, you know what? I thought about him picking up as well. And with Downs playing, I was like, if Dan was out, I would have been more inclined. But with it's a bit of a roulette otherwise. But
I think Downs is there as well, which is annoying. So,
well, Downs is out there, but again, you just don't know because it's so, especially where Warren's sort of the number one receiver in that offense. Exactly. It's just pot luck behind that. And obviously, if Pittman gets the touchdown, then the other two aren't going to do anything either. So anyway, back to this. I'm going to pick your team here. Injury was. Oh, I did like as well. By the way, you had JJ McCarthy obviously before I noticed you picked him up.
I did.
Which I was like, is Mahomes on the way? Oh no, he's not. You were probably preparing for next week.
I was.
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting choice, even out of the names that were out. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that next week.
I like JJ McCarthy, just not when he's only got one leg.
Yeah, true. Right, injury-wise, McLaurin is out. He was ruled out very quickly this week. Was it oblique or his quad? I can't remember.
Quads, still quads.
Still quad. So that could be... Yeah, it's not been a good year for Terry McLaurin.
No, it hasn't.
No. Stevenson has been ruled out with a toe injury as well. He didn't practice all week. Thomas is questionable, as I said, dealing with that shoulder injury. Sounds like he's probably going to play, but clearly not fully healthy, given it's in a harness and whatnot. We'll go on to the next game then, which is... I think I did play the log jingle. Let's play again. And then we'll go to the next game then, which is the Goose Bowl. It's Cardiff Sheep taking on Pakistan. 4-4 and 3-5. So again, two teams needing wins really to keep up in the playoff race. The score on the doors is 19-0. In favour of Ross, who are Derek Henry and Zay Flowers. So not necessarily the best output out of them. The projections do have Pat winning this one 93 to 82. Looking at the lineups, Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback this week for Pakistan, with Baker Mayfield on a bye and obviously on the bench. Pat obviously gets a lot of players back from the bye, namely Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trey McBride and Ashton Genty will all come in. As does Bam Knight actually as well. So the only starter he's retained from last week, Chris, is Chris Olave, which is obviously dropping Shakir, Gadsden, there we go, I got there in the end, and obviously some other waiver guys, I presume, to the bench. Interesting, he's playing over James, some of those names there, but we'll come into that in the analysis. So he's going with the 21 personnel there. For Ross's team, I believe he is unchanged at the moment. Yep, so he is going with 21 personnel himself. Who's going to take the goose in the Goose Bowl, Chris?
Well, so ultimate play the matchup here for Pat, isn't it? Let's load him up against Dallas. Let's load him up against. Let's load Amon-Ra up at home. Let's Genty at home. Broncos D against Houston. I think we're covering all bases there. Pat doing what he can to try and win this game, and I respect that. But yeah, as you mentioned, and we looked to the bench a little bit, Shakir in a shootout, which could suit him quite well, I think. And of course Jameson Williams, and I haven't been massively fond of the stack anyway, so I'm all right with that. But I think Shakir is probably a better option than Chris Olave in this one.
In Tyler Shuck's first game, definitely, you've no idea. I mean, well, when Shuck came in, I think he did try and target Olave reasonably well, but you've no idea, like you say, you've no idea what that's going to look like. So.
No. Whilst I know there's going to be some high point scoring, but what do I know? On the other side, though, there's lots of what ifs. So I think Josh Allen's not he's not a what if. I think that's going to go off. But similarly, Higgins, what if Flacco doesn't play, as you mentioned earlier on. Kelsey, what if he can't come back from can't do the same thing as he did last week. And Tony Pollard, what if Ty J. Spears just locks him out. And what if they just down early? I think there's too many question marks over Ross's team. And for Pat, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, just for the boldness of Pat's fantasy play, I'm going to lock him this week.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might, and I don't blame you, because Pat's team shapes up pretty well for the reasons you said. There's lots of nice matchups in there. So, some reasonably good players too. So I don't really think we need to say too much about Pat's team, but Ross's team, as it always and it will continue to be, it's pretty Josh Allen or bust. I can't remember if you put up the old question mark against T. Higgins as well, but you can go ahead and do that because Joe Flacco, obviously, if he does not play, that directly makes him a nil point, more or less. It's just Ross just doesn't have the firepower to contend with Pat, so that's an entirely reasonable lock, and I don't really have anything else to add there. So, injury-wise, as I said, Travis Hunter is out with an injury, will be on IR, so Ross will be able to stick him on his reserve spot if he should so choose. Kyler Murray, I did see just on my phone a little bit earlier that Brissett was taking some first team reps in practice on Friday. Now, I think from what I'd seen, Murray is going to return, but he's obviously dealing with an injury himself, and given he plays in the Monday night game too, definitely one to look out for.
I wouldn't even hate playing Brissett.
No, I think what game was it? I think it was the week I played Pat. The week I played Tom. I almost had half a mind to stream Brissett as well because I actually think they should just turn it over to Brissett, to be honest, and trade Murray. That's my view.
It's time. Yeah. It feels like time for all parties. Yeah. So, go and find somewhere else to go, Kyler. There will be plenty of suitors for somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get on to the last game of the week then, which is the Waypoint Bowl, featuring Gridiron Gang taking on Bucking the Trend. I'm 4-4, coming off a win. Mike 6-2, obviously coming off a loss, but he has been absolutely white hot up until last week. The projections are very close in this one at the moment. I don't think mine will probably marginally increase though, of which will become clear in a bit. So Mike is projected to win 102-101. I am leading 34-0 at the moment, courtesy of Lamar Jackson. His return from his injury there in last night's game. For my team, I have Trey Tucker currently in the starting lineup over I can't even remember who. Colton Sutton moves to the bench in a corresponding move. And I've also got Coleman Ungai coming into the starting lineup with obviously DeAndre Swift's groin injury over J.K. Dobbins, so dropping my Broncos to the bench here at the moment at least. So I've got the 30 personnel going on. And then on the other side of the board for Bucking the Trend, JSN comes back in from the bye into the starting lineup, and Keisha Booty comes in over Darnell Mooney, who would have aided Mike's cause last week, albeit obviously wouldn't change the result. So Mike is going with the 10 personnel, spreading out a bit here. And the history of this matchup all time, Mike is 5-3 against my team, Chris. Chris, this could be quite an exciting game, I think, as far as fantasy goes.
I agree. Now, this was one I was looking at the marquee matchup for, and because just based on the projections alone, I think the projections are assisted by Lamar's 33.5 points last night.
Yeah,
in a big way. But I can't tell you with any degree of certainty that a team with Wan'Dale Robinson and Trey Tucker at present is going to be the white hot teams in the league. Now, fair play, I agree. Cook, Gibson, and Moningai are absolutely there for the taking. Having said that, though, I think Buffalo will air it out a lot. I think Minnesota are a good defense, and I don't know anything about Moningai, but I know that the Bengals D suck. And the Rams D's a good stream this week. So I think you put yourself in a good position, and you already have, I think when you already have a 33.5 point lead, it's very, especially when Dak plays on Monday night as well, random stuff happen then I think fair. Having said that, though, Mike's team from top to bottom to me is if not the most complete team that we see in the league this week. It's very well set. So that stack, didn't work last week, but it will work this week against Arizona. And they're playing at home, and they're playing in prime time. It will just be there. JSN's been superb this season. He's going to break. I think he's on track to break 45-year record for that franchise in the first 9 weeks of the season.
Wow.
Through I think the legend See, I don't put many guys in the Hall of Fame, but if you've ever seen Steve Largent, watch the. There's a documentary on him, one of the NFL Films documentaries on him. He's actually really interesting dude, and really talented. But JSN's going to go and beat that record, which is pretty outstanding for somebody who's for the first couple of seasons flashed, but didn't flash this hard. Mm-hmm. And then Jacobs, Chase, and Booty. I mean, Jacobs and Chase, that's bread and butter for them. Obviously, caveating the Joe Flacco thing with the Bengals.
Yeah.
But Booty has been on a stretch that I was looking at this earlier on. If we just grab this, there's some seriously high double-digit scores. 21, 11, and 13.5 in the past three. And he's playing Atlanta, who just keep getting torched. So, look, I feel really good about that this week too, as well as the Texans' defense against Denver, who you dropped everybody as a result of that defense. So, with that being said, I think it's very difficult to bet against Mike at the moment in the form that he's in. Having said that, but 33.5 points, head start says otherwise. But you know what also said otherwise? Wandale Robinson and Trey Tucker.
Yeah,
sorry.
No. I fully agree with you, and I was actually hoping Cole Kmet would be out so I could possibly play Colston Loveland against the Bengals. That's where I'm at, because the Bengals get absolutely shredded by tight ends, but alas, Kmet is playing, so I'm not going to do that. I could still go back to. I'm pretty actually settled on playing Wandale, because I think the Niners D, like you already said, they're pretty banged up. Wandale has had some pretty good scores. He is the top receiver. I know Slayton's back, but he's still the top receiver. Obviously, Scatboo's gone now, so maybe they're going to lean a little more pass heavy. So I actually think that could be a sneaky, high-scoring game, the Niners against the Giants. So Wandale could be. I get it's not a robust option and it's not a comfortable one, but in terms of the options I have, it's the best I've got. And like you say, the Trey Tucker one. I mean, I could go Kyle Pitts there, or like I said, I could go back to Cortland Sutton and just sort of accept that he's probably got a fairly low ceiling for the week and just hope he grabs a touchdown or something. But the Jags D, their secondary particularly, they suck. They are awful. I watched with my own eyes Matthew Stafford. Granted, Geno Smith is not Matthew Stafford, but I watched them get absolutely mauled just constantly in the passing game. Particularly touchdowns. I think they've conceded the most touchdowns to wide receivers, particularly boundary receivers, I think it is, which I think Trey Tucker is. Obviously Trey Tucker had that rando blow-up game, but he's actually had, you talk about Booty having a nice stretch of games. They've not all come together for Trey Tucker, but Trey Tucker's had a couple of good games in there, and he's had a couple of stuff, but, it's so, it could be Cole Pitts. Huh?
You gotta cling on to what you got. Yeah, I get it.
I have to look at something, and like Jacoby Myers is obviously trying to get traded. So, what's that going to look like? Bowers being back and healthy, hopefully means that there's a little less attention or more focus on it. I don't know. I have to go with something, right, to try. As you did with Malik Washington.
Malik Washington, absolutely. Yeah. I get you.
Yeah, it was actually more of the running backs I was going to come on to, which is the interesting thing in my team, because I kind of started the week reluctantly feeling like I was obliged to play Sutton and Dobbins. And with the running back, obviously, I tried to get Hunt, which Freddie got, and I already had Monongai and Henderson, both of which now are facing starting running back jobs for the week. And I'm going to go with Monongai just because, like you said, Cincinnati do truly suck. And Monongai's started to have a bit of a split role in the backfield, and I think Roschon's injured as well, so he will probably get more or less every single running back touch. Whereas Henderson, whilst he's going to be the lead running back, obviously the Patriots haven't really worked him in thus far, so I'm not, I'm more feeling like Monongai's a sure thing than Henderson is, let's put it that way. But half a mind as well, like you said, you actually mentioned it. With Cook, there is a half and half a thought to maybe bench Cook for Henderson just because the Falcons get shredded in the run game too. But like you say, that game should be a points fest, so I would be shocked if Cook doesn't at least have an okay game, if not more. I am going to slightly lean Mike as well, despite the score. But yeah, it's truly an up in the air game for me. Again, whilst Booty's been on his good run, he's a deep sort of ball specialist. If he doesn't catch sort of one of those long touchdowns, he could put up a donut. You did see it there between week 1 and I think it was week 5 or whatever it was. There were some pretty low scores in there. Drake is obviously playing great, so it makes sense for obviously Mike to stream him. And Jacobs, he sneakily hasn't been posting great numbers lately because he's been dealing with this calf injury. Now, he has been a full participant. I don't think he's going to have a designation, but I say that he has had some couple good games, but he's not cracked 100 yards yet this season. So, but it is Carolina, so he should still do pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to lean Mike just because he has been one of the best teams, obviously. But you never know. And that brings us to the end of the episode, Chris. Slightly longer than our other episodes have been, but we've skipped a few weeks, so that averages out, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a bumper episode for 2 weeks off. So exactly. Yeah, I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, good to be back. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting week no matter what. There's lots of permutations in that.
Yeah.
Just judged by the rundown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of the players, because we're going between the divisions where it's all so even. We've got some of those middle ground teams playing each other. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week for sure. Just before we sign off, since I'm no longer going to any London games, if you would like to watch the games at mine on Sunday, you're obviously welcome to do so. Thank you for joining us as always, Chris.
Welcome. It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. And have a good weekend, everybody. Best of luck in your matchup. Unless you're playing me, Mike. Catch you later, everybody.